I think it's time we blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Hello everyone, Steven here, writer, creator, and nerd to the core. 2019 is upon us. Actually, it's been upon us for about 2 months now, but still, 2019! That's right, it's a whole new year filled with an all-new slew of entertainment, and of course that means with it, a whole bunch of new movies. We've got plenty of sequels, plenty of comic book adaptations, some adaptations of other literary work, and even a few original ideas that I believe have the potential to amaze. Well, very much like the year itself, I'm happy to report that this list has all of those things. Now, before I go any further, let me clarify that these are my most anticipated movies of the year. I'm not saying that any of these are necessarily going to end up among the best of 2019 or that they will absolutely be among my favorite films of 2019. For all I know, there could be movies out there that I haven't even heard of or that I'm completely disinterested in, but then I go end up and seeing them and turn out to be massive surprises that I love. There's really no way for me to know that. Nevertheless, with what knowledge I do have, these are the 10 that interest me above the rest. So let's just jump right in without any further ado. These are my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2019. So I'm starting off the list with a film I'm confident most of you haven't even heard of. In fact, I hadn't heard of it either until I went to IMDb and looked up a list of all the films that are coming out this year. Said film is Lucy in the Sky. No relationship to the Beatles song that I'm personally aware of, though I honestly think the studio might try to incorporate it at some point. But honestly, that's part of the reason I find this film so fascinating. I know next to nothing about it. Hell, I don't even think a release date was confirmed last time I checked. All I've got is that Natalie Portman plays an astronaut returning to Earth from a deep space mission, and she begins to lose touch with reality once she lands on the planet's surface. Not much more than that, really, but if I'm being honest, that setup sounds legitimately fascinating. I love science fiction, I love things that play with your head, and I think combining them could give us something truly unique and special. Now, there is no connection to any pre-existing property or any person that I'm aware of, at least. Otherwise, this might be a little bit higher up on the list. But at the same time, I've also come across movies very much like that ended up being among my favorites of their respective years, so who knows? Maybe Lucy in the Sky will turn out just like those did. For my next entry, I'm going to leap from a film with no connection to any pre-existing story to one that's actually related to several. Let's talk about Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and by extension, the film that it inspired. Now, I grew up reading this collection of tales. In fact, I actually got this hardcover copy containing all 3 of the original books earlier last year as a means to revisit them. I bring that up because right around the same time, I began to hear rumors that a feature film adaptation was in the works. And I became both curious as well as cautious what the final product could yield. Well, the curiosity began to advance forward when I saw the first poster, and it was a near perfect recreation of the Stephen Gammell artwork that was used in the story Harold. And curiosity became intrigue, and it just kept growing with each of the TV spots as I could tell which ones, or better, which stories each one of them was referencing. All of them except for one that had a monster I thought looked kind of like a necromorph from Dead Space. Not entirely sure what that one was, but nevertheless, it tells me that these filmmakers, the crew involved, really respect the stories, and especially the artwork, which was one of the tipping points of the novel, and that alone, I think, is reason enough to get eager. Now, despite said enthusiasm, I still put this movie rather low on the list for 2 reasons. First off, there is a chance it could be more of a jump scare fest than the actual atmospheric horror film I'm hoping for. Second, more importantly, at least to me, there is a concern for clutter, because there are many stories they could actually work with. Obviously, they can't use every single one. There's just too many, minus, say, probably a menagerie of Easter eggs that I think are probably going to show up in the background anyway. I'll be definitely looking out for those. But having said that, as of now, my curiosity and my nostalgia are most definitely outweighing my spooky apprehension. Speaking of spooks and scares, now we'll dive into another horror novel adaptation with It Chapter 2. Now, I haven't read the original Stephen King novel, nor did I see the 90s miniseries that it inspired, but I did watch the 2017 It movie, as a lot of people did, and I thought it was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought the atmosphere was wonderfully chilling, the direction and pacing were on point, and every actor, from the child actors to Pennywise himself, were just fantastic. I'm interested to see how the same crew approaches the latter portions of the novel, and the adult cast they got, I think, is just spot on. You've got James McAvoy as Bill, Bill Hader as Richie. I don't think you could have gotten a better person to play an adult Richie Tozer if you tried. You've got Jessica Chastain, aka one of my favorite actresses working today, as Beverly. There's just so much that I'm excited for, and I am very much looking forward to my return to Derry, Maine this September. Now we come to the wild card of the lot, and by that I mean this is the movie I most debated on whether to include it on the list or not. It was always one of interest, don't get me wrong, but it seemed to always miss out on the final cut when I made the list earlier. Then, however, and rather unexpectedly I should add, the internet was treated to the first teaser for Frozen 2. Yes, I know the original was marketed like madness. Yes, I know the music was everywhere at one point. Yes, I know it pretty much took the world by storm. I don't care. I have loved it all the way through these near 6 years. Granted, I was a little bit skeptical on how they would treat a sequel, which is the main reason I debated on whether to include this at all. But the aforementioned teaser hints at epicness as well as beauty. I'm looking forward to seeing these characters again, looking forward to hearing new songs, and maybe even facing off with a few surprises along the way. Come November, I'm looking forward to see what Arendelle has prepped for our return. I appreciate a deep and/or thought-provoking narrative on deep meanings of human life as much as the next guy. But I can't help to get excited for a chaotic rumble of classic kaiju either. That is why I'm very much looking forward to Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Now, I was indifferent to Gareth Edwards' first movie. I didn't love it, I didn't hate it. It's just, looking back nearly half a decade later, I realized that it played things very safe, at least for a Godzilla movie anyway. That does not look to be the case with this one at all. In addition to Big G himself, we have Mothra, Rodan, and one of my favorite classic monsters, King Ghidorah, all going at it for certain death. There's not much more to say to it other than this seems to be a very ambitious movie, and the little kid in me cannot wait at all for it.